One of the hardest hit sectors in Israel has been the tourism sector, and the only groups coming these days which emerge from the war between Israel and Hamas are the missions of solidarity. Fact-finding missions have shown significant impact as witnessed through the German Defense Committee, which came to Israel in 2022. David Siegel, who was president of Friends of ELNET, told the Media Line that the landmark defense agreement, which was an outcome of that mission, involved purchasing of the Arrow 3 defense system by Germany.
They went back home, they purchased munitions for their drones, they came back to Israel, and now Israel's largest defense export in Israel's history went to Germany.
Many groups have been coming here to Israel to see what happened for themselves since October 7th. But in particular, the parliamentarians coming from Europe are really important to organizations in the United States like ELNET to strengthen those relationships between Europe, Israel, and the United States. Recently, another group of parliamentarians visited through ELNET. Among the representatives from France, Germany, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and the United States was German Member of Parliament Sandra Wieser. She, like many other politicians, toured what remains of the aftermath of October 7th along Israel's border within Gaza.
Actually, I felt bad because I had the impression that I'm a voyeurist. I'm going there for that's kind of a mass tourism. But on the other hand, I found it at the end yesterday evening when I rethought about all this, that it's important to see it, to understand, to really to get close to it.
Many of the politicians felt the need to learn about what Israel had experienced and to also make it relatable to the many nations in Europe facing extremism and serious challenges. Dovile Sakalien is a member of the National Security and National Defense Committee in the Lithuanian Parliament. She shared her concerns with the Media Line.
United States does not negotiate with terrorists. Why there is a pressure for Israel to negotiate with terrorists? This is something which is simply not fair. Another moment which is also very important in the geopolitical context of nowadays world is the identical modus operandi of Hamas and Russia. What I have seen in Ukraine, in Bucha, in Irpin, what I have seen in kibbutz next to the border of Gaza was absolutely identical. Rape, maiming, torture, murdering, burning people alive, kidnapping people.
Several U.S. business people joined the European mission, citing the need to engage in partnerships beyond America.
I've been in the United States my entire life, 55 years. And throughout my entire life, the United States has been Israel's #1 ally. And I think it still is Israel's #1 ally. But I do see, and I have seen especially recently, the relationship has flaws, has cracks, and it wanes. And recognizing that Europe in the whole is a greater trading partner than the United States, combined with the fact that the United States has developed some very disturbing foundational principles that are contrary to the founding of the country, and are contrary to what Israel stands for. I don't think Israel can count on the United States like it used to, and maybe it should never have.
French-born Laurent Morali came back to Israel from the United States after having been in the Jewish state when the war began.
The opportunity to come here with ELNET, with those European MPs, I think was an amazing opportunity for me to not only be here and achieve my personal goals, but also help educate European leaders as to the situation in Israel.
One of the fastest growing concerns globally has been the aggressive, dangerous anti-Semitism and demonization of Israel that was boosted further during the war between Israel and Hamas. A verbal attack against Israel at a film festival in Germany was one such example.
It's so clear for who you have to support. And we had this very sad incident at the Berlinade last weekend, which is really a scandal. And therefore our Minister of Justice also said we have to investigate this if we can take legal action against these people, because we cannot tolerate this.
Laurent Morali is also deeply concerned about the rise of anti-Semitism in France.
I think anti-Semitism in France has evolved over the years, right? So the beginning of the 20th century and throughout World War II, of course, it was coming from the far right. And now what we're seeing is that it's coming from the far left. What used to be an extreme, and by definition an extreme was supposed to be an extreme, is becoming almost mainstream. These are people who essentially justified the attacks of October 7 and who have not been willing to say that Hamas is a terrorist organization.
As for the return on investments of these high-profile war missions,
the more allies we have, especially Western democratic allies, and if you hear the people here, especially from Eastern Europe, that face the threat of Russia and see in Israel, they see themselves. These are our allies. They're our security partners, our political partners.
I'm hopeful that next time they have to vote on a resolution as to the conflict, they will not only make the right decision, because it's a universal issue. It's not a right or left issue. It's good versus evil.
from Jerusalem, Felice Friedson reporting for the Media Line.